What's up, D-Aliens? The mothership has connected. Welcome aboard. It's another Sunday night at Watch DA Live. I am so excited about tonight's show. We've got 670 The Scores in Chicago. Danny Parkins, afternoon drive. This guy is all over the Caleb Williams to the Bears at #1 story. Are Bears fans fired up? Is this the right fit? Did they jettison Justin Fields too early? What about those fingernails and crying in the stands? All of that with Danny Parkins coming up here shortly. Also tonight, we pay off our first bet here on Watch DA Live. You know that any essence of a show that I host needs to have an element of danger and punishment. Forecast pain, which is why we did our first ever bracket challenge here on the show for the NCAA tournament. We gave away winners like Bach to Bourbon. How about that? Amazing. In fact, I got in touch with the winner of this. He was SEC comped or something like that. Anyway, his name is Austin. Great dude. Got a hold of him. We got his mailing address. He's getting his gift card from Bach to Bourbon, Bach to Spirits. So much ups, much love to him. And the winner of the personality bracket, the on-air bracket, was Morash. But the loser of the on-air bracket was our own EP here, Aidan, the Marquette Marvel, which means he had to pay up. Coming up, tonight's show, one sour moment. We've got something called toxic waste, reportedly the most sour candy on earth that he's going to have to eat on this show tonight. And when he joins us, when he's on camera, he's joined us right now behind the scenes. When he's on camera, we'll have two very special guests join us on camera as well. So stick around for that, okay? In honor of paying off the bet, here's to all the drinks out there that you're having, all the food out there that you're snacking on. We're doing something called Golden Grams. Take a picture of what you're drinking or what you're eating or what you're noshing on as you watch or listen to the show. And we'll post those a little bit later on in the program. Just tweet at me, or you can post it on Instagram at Damon Amendo. Either way, Aidan will grab those, put them then on our Watch DA live feed. Salute, everybody, to good health. So smooth, so buttery, so delicious. Gets me going. All right. I'm fired up. Hopefully you guys as well. Also, fire away any questions you might have or comments in the chat. Aidan will grab those and put them in Q&DA later on in the program. Aidan, cue the Furious 5 full screen graphic because we got the first two of the Furious 5 right now. All right. In the NBA playoffs, the Joker, Nikola Jokic, and the Nuggets get game #1 last night over the Lakers, 114-103. And I think this is fascinating because Jokic has been amazing. He's a two-time MVP. He's obviously won a ring as well. Now he's going for 3 MVPs. But we still don't know a lot about him besides he loves horse racing. Last night, him arriving at the arena might seem like a silly thing, arriving to basically in costume as Gru from Despicable Me, some type of movie crossover, what have you. But he's coming as a villain, as a character, and then drops 32 and 12 in the win. And I just think this is so huge because if we start seeing a side of Jokic where he's funny, where he's actually playing up to the crowd, that puts him at a different level, I think, of people embracing him, people propping him up. I mean, look, if you think about it, he's going for his 3rd MVP award and his back-to-back title, which means if he gets a 3rd MVP, here's the list of guys that have 3 MVPs. Kareem has got 6. He's not at that level. Bill Russell and Jordan have 5 each, not at that level. And then LeBron and Wilt have 4 each. Okay, not at that level. But then the guys with 3, Moses Malone, Larry Bird, and Magic. Imagine Jokic gets a 3rd MVP in 4 years and adds a 2nd ring to that. What that does to put him all-time already in the middle of his career. And he's becoming a personality. That's huge. I think for everybody that might have some resentment towards Jokic for having this much success, but still being almost annoyed by the attention, annoyed by the spotlight, annoyed by the work or whatever. I think that's awesome. I would love to see Jokic do more things like this. Number 2, earlier today, Luka and the Mavs end up losing game 1 in a game that Kawhi didn't even play, 109-97. And I'll tell you, last night, the Lakers had 2 huge games from both LeBron and AD, but they got nothing from the supporting cast, and the Nuggets did. You look at Denver's supporting cast around Jokic, every starter had double-digit points. Jamal Murray, 22. Michael Porter Jr., 19. Both Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had 12, as well as Gordon. They both had 12. Now you flip that over to the Mavs today. You had 2 huge games from Kyrie and Luka, both with over 30 points. But nobody else did anything. P.J. Washington, the 3rd highest scorer for the Mavs, at 11 points. This is a team that scored 8 in the second quarter. I'm talking 8 points in the second quarter. 8! I feel like Doncic might be relegated to a career of being a great player, but just no supporting cast enough to go very deep, and tons of playoff failures and miseries. It's still early in his career. But when you look around the Western Conference, do you believe that the Mavs can make a run if they are down by 20 points in the first half or whatever it was? They scored 30 total in the first half on a night where Kawhi didn't play. That worries me a lot. It worries me a lot for the Mavs and for Luka in this postseason run. All right, let's get into our first guest here. He's Afternoon Drive on 670 The Score in Chicago. He's also one of the biggest Caleb Williams super fans going, and he knows his NBA, so let's talk a little NBA playoffs with him as well. Joining us here on the show, coming up right now, is Danny Parkins. Welcome into Watch DA Live, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. And the watch is on. Number 1 pick in the NFL draft. The Chicago Bears are on the clock. And joining us from 670 The Score in Chicago, a good friend of mine. He hosts afternoons there. Also is the author of a new book, Pipeline to the Pros, which we'll get to coming up here shortly. It's a really cool book, especially for you basketball people out there. Joining us here on the program is Danny Parkins. Danny, how you doing?
DA, good to be on, man. Tremendous graphic. I love what you've done with the place. This is fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Well, you and Caleb Williams are now sewn together at the hip. But I want to go back to the previous quarterback, because I heard you say that the previous quarterback, Justin Fields, as good as he was as a player, was an even better person, that he was an 11 as a person. And I think that goes against the grain of what a lot of people thought went wrong or could have went wrong in Chicago, because we had that incident where he seemed to blame the coaches for how poorly the offense was being run. So describe to us something that maybe fans around the nation don't realize is the case that at least you see with Justin Fields.
Well, first of all, when he blamed the coaches, he was right. But then he still apologized, because that's how good of a guy he is. It was ridiculous. They tried to go from all of the running that you saw in 2022 when he made that run at Lamar Jackson's single season rushing record for a quarterback to none of it and make him a statue like he was Joe Burrow or Tom Brady back there, as opposed to, doing a combination of both. And the start of the 2023 season was so terrible. He said, they're overloading me, and they're trying to make me something that I'm not. They're trying to square peg round hole this situation. And then he still walked it back because he didn't like how the comments were kind of going viral online. But listen, he's the type of guy who took a ton of accountability, who never blamed the inadequate talent that was around him, that never blamed management, that never lashed out at fans, that was incredibly philanthropic within the community. That the guy's a vegan and incredibly health conscious, and after games he would always buy like all of the candy that the kids were selling, the M&Ms and the Snickers bars or whatever. He just would give him the 20, buy the whole box, but then tell him to keep the candy. And he would keep driving, and like all of those things, not when the camera's around. He was a great dude, and the players on the team swore by him. They swore by his work ethic, his humility, all of that stuff. It just, for reasons that were both his fault and the fault of the Bears, it didn't click fast enough. And I really think that if the Panthers would have won 5 or 6 games and the Bears would have the 7th pick and the 9th pick, we'd be debating trading up for Drake May or J.J. McCarthy. But I think there'd be a really good chance here that they would just be building around Justin Fields. But because they have the number 1 pick, they're moving on, and they should be.
Well, so just from an observation standpoint, it's hard to say that it worked in Chicago, even if Caleb Williams wasn't there for Justin Fields. And so I've heard you say that this is the best situation a number 1 overall draft pick could walk into from a quarterback standpoint. And I've heard you give Ryan Poles A+ or at least A grades for many of the moves. So now that we have cleared that smoke here, how fired up are you for Caleb Williams in Chicago? Do you think there's any potential trap door here? Because not everybody's in love with Caleb Williams the way that you are.
Yeah, listen, I think it's insane to not be. And listen, fully will admit that as someone who's never seen the Bears have a good quarterback, I fall for the new guy with hope. Like, I wanted it to be Deshaun Watson. It was Mitch Trubisky. I talked myself into maybe this will work. I wanted it to be Fields when they traded up for him. I loved watching Justin Fields play. Like, I hope traffic. I'm as rational and logical as the day is long with basically everything in my life, sports and otherwise, with the exception of the Bears quarterback. Like, I believe in all of them because I believe that one day, if the Bungles could become the Bengals when they get Joe Burrow, or the Chiefs can go 30 years between games where they win a single regular season game with a quarterback that they drafted until a guy named Patrick Mahomes comes along. Like, I believe one day too, it'll happen for the Bears. But the city is very excited. I am very excited. He's unbelievably talented, and he's swaggy as hell. He's cocky as hell. He is talking about chasing down Brady's 8 Super Bowl, like going for 8 Super Bowls. He is saying, like Kobe studied Jordan, he is studying Mahomes and Rodgers. Like, he has no problem putting that on him, and I love that. As someone who has a healthy amount of ego myself, I absolutely love it.
Okay, painted fingernails, taunting opponents, crying in the stands. None of this is a red flag to you.
Okay, the painting of the fingernails, his mom was a nail technician. That's how him and his mom bonded when he was a kid. He started it as a tribute to her. One time he painted F Utah on his fingernails. Then they lost to Utah and he got mocked on the field. And he's like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. But the painting of the fingernails thing is, I don't care at all about that. Crying in your mom's arms, not a great look for someone who cares about outside criticism, but it does show that you care a lot. And we'll see how that translates to the next level. And I'd rather have a guy care more than he doesn't. What was the other one? Painting the fingernails.
Well, I said, and taunting the opponents, which goes back.
Taunting the opponent, the F Utah thing. Listen, he's a business man. He's different. He is eccentric. He's an NIL superstar. He lives in a high rise in Hollywood. He goes to restaurants that, you and I would get turned away from and laughed at, even if we tipped the bouncer $100. Like, he's got Q rating. He has a foundation already. Literally, he has his own charitable foundation that has already been set up for mental health destigmatization, to help with kids who are bullied. All of these things. Like, he is a world traveler. He's an interesting, different, eclectic kind of guy, but that's the modern athlete. Like, Drake May is a millionaire from NIL. Jaden Daniels is a millionaire from NIL. Caleb Williams is just better than them, and so he's more famous than them. So I think that this is actually going to be the new normal, frankly, going forward. And so you may as well adjust to it early as opposed to be later. You're going to miss the boat.
Deion Sanders suggested that he would tell Shedeur to not sign with certain teams if he was drafted. And then there was this idea that Caleb should do the same thing to the Bears, pull an Eli Manning. You think that's utterly insane?
Well, I think if it was going to happen, it would have already. Like, they're already doing install.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a story in the Tribune today about how Ryan Poles, his kid had a Justin Fields jersey, went as Justin Fields for Halloween, had a Justin Fields poster on his wall. He had to tell his kid that he was trading Justin Fields. His 11-year-old son was devastated, but now his son, he showed him YouTube highlights of Caleb Williams, and his lock screen is a picture of Caleb Williams. Like, Caleb Williams is going to be a Bear.
Right, but do you think that it's a good situation for Caleb to walk into, that he should not say, I'm not doing it? I mean, obviously it's going to be done anyway.
I think that this is not even – I don't think you can make an argument that this is a homer opinion. We have never seen a number one pick quarterback go to a better situation, period. It's never happened before. They won 7 games last year. Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, those guys all entered 1 or 2 win teams. How many wide receiver duos in the NFL are better than DJ Moore and Keenan Allen? 1 or 2, maybe. They were 6th and 11th in the NFL last year in receiving yards, plus Cole Kmet, plus DeAndre Swift, plus an all-rookie right tackle in Darnell Wright, plus a $20 million right guard in Nate Davis, plus a very good left guard on a rookie deal in Tevin Jenkins, plus a league average left tackle on a rookie deal in Braxton Jones. And then they paid Ryan Bates as a center, or they traded for him, but he was a veteran center on a multi-year deal to upgrade at center this year. So it is a average to above average and young offensive line with a dynamic wide receiver duo, a top 10 tight end, another solid tight end in Gerald Everett, a solid explosive running back in DeAndre Swift, and the 9th pick in the draft, plus a for sure top 10 defense, maybe top 5, Jalen Johnson, Jaquan Brisker, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Montez Sweat. This is a very solid team. You're in the NFC and not the AFC. All the good quarterbacks are in the AFC. So obviously Matt Eberflus is a question mark. I would have fired him to hire the best offensive coach that you could. They didn't. They like his leadership and they like the continuity. Shane Waldron, he got Geno Smith to throw 30 touchdowns. Caleb Williams is a much better prospect than Geno Smith was. So is it a perfect situation? Is this walking into Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid? No, but Pat Mahomes was the 10th pick in the draft, and they traded up from 27 to get him. So that's a different situation. For a prospect to be as highly graded as Caleb, to be good enough to be the number 1 overall pick, never in our lifetime has one walked into a better situation than this. So leveraging his way out of here to go to Washington would have been ridiculous.
Danny is the author of a new book called Pipeline to the Pros. D3 small college nobodies head to the NBA. And this is such a fascinating read. So I want to start with the history of the NBA for a moment here. Let's talk a little NBA playoffs since they're underway. Take every team that's in the playoffs, and if they were the NBA Finals champs for 2024, who has the best historical story? You would say, boy, that team is so memorable that you go, the 24 champs. Oh, yeah, of course I remember them because they did this or this player did that. Which team or player has such significance if they win the title this year?
Well, that's an interesting way of framing it. The answer is probably Denver, and they're the favorite because Jokic is going for 3 MVPs in 4 years. And if he stacks back-to-back titles on top of it, we're going to have to start talking about him. Like, is he better than Hakeem Olajuwon? That we're going to have to start talking about him as a top 12 player of all time. We're going to have to start talking about, is he the best international player of all time? So Jokic as a dominant force in the prime of his career, pairing MVPs with rings, probably has the biggest leap that he could make legacy-wise. And then the other team that I would give you, like, if Oklahoma City somehow won, it would be such a validation for Sam Presti, who we write a lot about in the book, and for team building and small market team building. Because like when Milwaukee won their title, it was a small market team, but they hit on the one super duper star. And SGA, don't get it twisted, he'll be top 3 for MVP. He is a superstar, but they're so young and the way they've built that team with all homegrown guys, that would be a pretty incredible, like, oh man, if they can do it in Oklahoma City, we could do it in Portland or Indiana or wherever. So I think Oklahoma City would have a ton of ramifications for the rest of the league. But in terms of legacy that we would remember 20 years from now, I'd say it's Denver.
Pipeline of the Pros, as you said, it profiles these D3 power brokers in the NBA. Popovich, the Van Gundys, Presti, Brad Stevens. So this is such a remarkable pipeline, as you put it, from small level college to running the NBA. And I think the theory to me is that if you go and play D3 basketball, you do it for the pure love of the game. That you do not have much athletic ability, but you just love this thing so much. There's no fame, there's no fortune, there's no celebrity, there's no, this is my pathway to the NBA or making money from doing this. So you just got to do it for the love of the game. And then that love of the game translates when you become executives or coaches or what have you, because there is no athletic demarcation between an NBA player and not. Now it's all smarts and guts and, guile and things like that. So is there a common theme between all those guys that you profiled, how they go from nobodies in D3 to run to the NBA?
Yeah, I think so. And if someone said, oh, you're overstating and running the NBA, of the top 6 seeds in each conference, that's 12 teams, East and West, this year in the playoffs, 5 of them are run by a former D3 player, and 3 of them are coached by a former D3 player. So right now, you are statistically as likely to be an NBA head coach or an NBA president of basketball operations if you play D3 basketball or D1 basketball. So that's insane. And the through line, I think, is something that you alluded to. It's the well-rounded education and the smarts. Because, the guys back in the day, like of the Van Gundy ilk, and Jeff Van Gundy wrote the foreword of the book, they, coaches are teachers and they're basketball lifers, and they happen to get in and then they outwork people and they're good teachers. And we talk about those guys and their incredible stories, like the Tom Thibodeaus of the world. But on the executive side, Brad Stevens worked at Eli Lilly. Rafael Stone, who runs the Rockets, he was the youngest partner at a law firm. Kobe Altman he runs the Cavs. He was a 6-figure real estate broker. These guys had well-rounded educations, were doing other things, played basketball at a high enough level, fall back into basketball, and then they use those well-rounded educations like Kobe Altman to bond with Dan Gilbert, who made his money in mortgages, or Rafael Stone, who's a lawyer who could make an argument to Daryl Morey, hey, contracts, I know something about it. I'm a lawyer. Include me in your basketball conversations as a contingency for getting hired for the job. And now he's sitting in basketball meetings with Daryl Morey. He played D3 ball. They can speak that language. Daryl Morey leaves. He runs the Rockets. So these guys, the book, yes, it's a nitty-gritty NBA book, but I also think it's a management primer. It speaks to the value of networking and, frankly, the value of a liberal arts education. So I think there's a lot of lessons in there.
In a day and age where liberal arts education gets slammed for being $70,000, you come out with no specialty.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you learn that you can do a lot of different things.
I guess so.
Listen, as someone who's got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, but then has a nephew who's a senior in high school and he's going through the college process right now, I'm like, dude, just choose fun. Choose fun.
Okay.
Don't go to Stores, Connecticut. Choose fun. You'll just take a bunch of different classes, meet a bunch of different people, have a bunch of fun, and you'll figure it out as you go and get life experiences. And that, honestly, that's one of the lessons of not that like Williams or Amherst are the most fun places in the world, but for my 18-year-old, I'm pressuring him for fun. But like in general, it's the well-rounded education, I think, is a very valuable thing because you don't know where your life's going to take you, but you want to be able to be versatile in a lot of different situations.
And I'm sure his guidance counselor is thrilled that you're giving him that advice.
Yeah, nor is my sister-in-law. Yeah, no one is loving that advice. But come on, man. Stores, Connecticut.
Well, you and I attended Syracuse, and so it's much of the same weather, and I think you could make much of the same argument. Both you and I had fun, but I don't know if it was quite going to Gainesville or Austin, Texas.
Yeah, no, we listen. Have you been to Stores, Connecticut?
I have not.
Dude, there's no Marshall Street, buddy. Yeah.
I've heard worse stories that it's pretty terrible.
Yeah. Syracuse is cold, but it's still fun. No. Sorry to anybody who's a UConn alum who's listening to this, but your place.
This is not just a Big East rivalry animosity type of take.
I could care less.
Specifically, Storrs is the hellhole that you were describing that you could never attend for 4 years.
Yeah, dude, go to Georgetown, hang out in DC. I don't care. I don't care about the rivalry aspect of it for Syracuse. I'm saying specifically, Storrs, Connecticut is a miserable town. That's what. If you could spend 4 years in Storrs, Connecticut, or Boulder, Colorado, where do you think you'd have more fun?
Oh, I think I know. I think I know.
On.
I think that's a no-brainer. Man. I think that's Pipeline of the Pros. This is available for pre-sale already, right?
Yeah, it's out. April 16th was the release day. Yeah, it's out. The audio book is out. It's being endorsed by bigwigs like Adrian Wojnarowski and others. And I really hope people check it out. Me and my co-author Ben Kaplan worked our asses off on it. A portion of every book sold will go to brain cancer research in honor of my brother Brad. This is a passion project. This is not like the biggest moneymaker in the world. So we just want people to read it and get the last 3 years of our work life in this into your hands. So thank you for talking to me about it.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a really cool project. And I think for Father's Day, if you've got a dad, a brother, a grandfather, someone in your life, a husband that just loves hoops and just loves the NBA and kind of like how the NBA is built and how decisions are made. This is so cool. It's a really cool book, and it's worth every cent simply because somehow you dug up this ridiculous graphic that they ran at the New York Daily News when Van Gundy got the Knicks job with the odds of who's going to be the next head coach of the Knicks. Larry Brown 2-1, Fratello 3-1, Calipari 10-1, Pitino 15-1. Carnesecca got 5,000-1. Louis Carnesecca retired at that time, 15,000 or 5,000-1, and then they gave freaking Jeff Van Gundy, who writes the forward in this book, $50 million to 1 to keep that job. $50 million to 1. I have no idea where you found that. That's a lot of microfiche you had to go through to find that stat, to find that graphic bubble, that infographic. It's worth the price of admission.
Yeah, that is incredible. Van Gundy said he should have bet the author of that piece, $10 and taken all of his money. Then he would have never had to get any jobs in coaching. But yeah, man, it also in San Antonio, when Pop signed his first extension, because he was a coach and GM at the time. So this is 1997, 2 years before he wins that first ring. They do the San Antonio Gazette, whatever the newspaper was, does a poll, 500 readers, survey. What do you think of the extension? 92% of Spurs fans said that Greg Popovich should be fired. These people were doubted every step of the way, even when they even had the jobs, until they had proved it beyond a reasonable doubt. So it's a real, something out of nothing story that I think a lot of people can relate to.
And that must have been, a couple of weeks before they drafted Tim Duncan or something like that, right? Wasn't Duncan number 1 of the 97 draft? So this is right before everything turns and Popovich becomes maybe the greatest head coach of all time.
There's so many insane stories like that, man. Yeah. So I do think people, we found that we actually didn't make the book, but we found Sam Presti's his first on-the-record statement of how he wants to build a team. It was a letter to the editor of the Boston Globe at 16 years old saying that the Celtics should trade everybody and draft Jason Kidd.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So this book is well-researched, man.
That's very cool.
This book is well-researched.
Pipeline of the Pros. Check it out right now. Very cool. It's available. Danny Parkins, 670 The Score in Chicago. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, DA.
All right. That was awesome. Thanks to Danny for joining us. Cocktails up, everybody. So glad you're joining us on a Sunday night. The crew here tonight is awesome in the comments section. And even if you're not commenting, you're just watching along, I appreciate it just as much. But a lot of hardcore classic through and through D-Aliens are here. So D-Alien fam, love you very much. Thank you for spending time with us on a Sunday night. Me and Aidan and a cast of thousands kind of try to put this together every week, and we piece it together and try to make a good show. So the fact that you guys come here to socialize and join and have a good time means a lot to us. And if you have a cocktail, something that you're noshing on, some food, what you're doing, just send a picture of it to tag me in my Instagram at Damon Amendo, and then we'll throw that up for little golden grams as in Instagrams a little bit later on in the program. Getting a few of them right now, rifling through those, and they look pretty good. The comment section is just on fire right now. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate that very much. So before we get to one sour moment coming up here in just a few minutes, where we'll have some secret guests. So I would say give us about 10 minutes, and then we'll get to one sour moment. So if you have friends, family, will want to see Aidan, the Marquette Marvel, and the secret guest join us on camera to watch him eat the most sour candy in the world, hit them up, text them, say, hey, here's the link. This is what they're doing. Remember, every single week we're on YouTube at Damon Amendo. We're on Twitter at Damon Amendo, or we're on Facebook. The Facebook page is facebook.com/The DA Show. All those places carry Watch DA Live every single week on Sunday nights. So I'm very excited about this and that and everything else in between. So let's do the next of the Furious Five. Number 3 here. Number 3 on the Furious Five. We go to the NFL. And did you see this story earlier in the week where the Commanders brought in Jayden Daniels, LSU quarterback, to interview him to prepare for the NFL draft, where they have the number 2 pick coming up on Thursday. But Jayden and his agent apparently thought that it was a solo interview, and instead they brought in multiple quarterbacks and multiple players. So his agent publicly basically said that they found this to be disrespectful. That's what Schefter said. He spoke to the agent, and that he thought that they were kind of screwing around with Jayden Daniels. And here's the deal. On the one hand, it doesn't really matter, because if the Commanders draft Jayden Daniels, he's going to have to go there and play. He's not going to sit out a full year and wait. He's not going to force his hand. I don't think that's going to happen. It's not going to be the Eli situation. So he'll have to play for the Commanders, and all will be fine. All the Commanders have to do basically is say, hey, sorry, didn't mean to disrespect you. We wanted to bring a lot of people into the same time, but we love you. We think you're the right pick. We think you're the franchise. What's he going to say? Of course, he's going to still play for them. Fine. But I think the worry is if Josh Harris, new owner, is a guy that's a little clunky, because they just come out of the ownership of Dan Snyder, and he wants too much attention. He wants too much control. He doesn't have a good feel for people. He's also basically a scumbag. So Josh Harris, who doesn't have any of that baggage, needs to worry or needs to watch being thought of like that. And Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, said this week that he brought all these people in, all these players in, to basically be lab rats, to see if there was a king of the mountain, if one would eat the others. And that's just not the right play. You're a first-time owner, you're a first-year owner, because he's owned other professional franchises, just not in the NFL. What you don't want to become is David Tepper. You don't want to overstep boundaries. You don't want to act like you have all the answers. You don't want to create a Lord of the Flies. If you love Jayden Daniels, I totally get it. I think I would go Daniels 2 as well instead of Drake May. Just make sure it is obvious when you like a player, you respect the player, and you're not trying to do anything crazy, mad scientist-esque, like you're the new Belichick. Stay out of it. Watch football people do what football people do, and don't try to get too cute, which is what I think maybe the Commanders did this week. Next up on the Patriots front. All right. So as you know, if you listen to the show, whether it was 11 years on CBS, 5 years before that at 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston, or the last 7 months on SiriusXM, I find the dissolving of the Patriots dynasty to be one of the most fascinating stories in NFL history. You guys know I love the history of this league, and so I am absolutely entranced by this type of stuff, and I'll tell you why. Because we have never had a dynasty where the cornerstone player left and then won another championship somewhere else. Didn't happen in the 60s with Vince Lombardi and the Packers. Didn't happen in the 70s with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Didn't happen in the 80s with Joe Montana. Didn't happen in the 90s with the Cowboys. But in the 2000s and 2010s, Brady leaves, goes to Tampa, and wins. And so it throws a question into the legacy, the history of something that has never been done before. A dynasty where one of the players goes elsewhere and does it again. So now you have that piece. And now you have Robert Kraft, who, according to a report at ESPN.com, a fascinating story this week, told Arthur Blank, his closest friend in the NFL owners game, you can't trust Bill Belichick. Now, you know what? There's been many people over the years that have said, hey, investigative pieces reporting from ESPN, take it with a grain of salt. I go the other way. I think Seth Wickersham and Don Van Natta do amazing work, and they have been basically right on ever since they started reporting on things internally in New England. And I know that Wickersham is based out of Boston, so I think they've got great sources. But even if you don't, and you think on the outside, you know what, clickbait. Now, dovetail this piece, which is pretty explosive, that Robert Kraft told Arthur Blank, you can't trust Bill. Don't hire him. Dovetail this with the 10-part Dynasty docuseries, which many Patriot players have been very upset with because they feel it's too anti-Belichick, which, by the way, that documentary was A, green lit by Kraft, and B, Kraft Dynasty LLC is in the credits of the documentary. So what I'm seeing here, what I'm interpreting is that Robert Kraft has his fingers on two different anti-Belichick things. One, telling Arthur Blank, don't hire him. Two, a 10-part documentary that's been considered anti-Belichick. Why? Why does something like this happen? And I think it's twofold. Number one, I think that Robert Kraft was convinced by Bill Belichick many times over, Brady's done. He's toast. Don't spend money on him. Don't overspend. We can win without him. Yada, yada, yada. It's over for Tom. And if you zoom out why Belichick would feel that way about a player that would ultimately go on to win another Super Bowl and have another elite statistical season the year after that as well, is that I think Bill always believed that his system was bigger than any player. And that his way of recycling a player or exiting another player to bring in somebody else would always work. That Tom was the ultimate guinea pig here. If he could replace Tom and still win, it was about Bill. So there's egos at play here. And of course, Tom didn't get the love that he wanted from Bill, and so he had to leave to get his free agent deal and get his money in control. Tried bringing in Jimmy Garoppolo to replace Tom. Didn't take. Ultimately got rid of Tom. They never got a quarterback after that took. And I think it will always kill the soul of Robert Kraft that Bill convinced him that we can win anyway, and they descended into disaster. So now it's revenge time. It's revenge time for Robert Kraft. And it's also a chance, number two, the second part is, to distance himself from the last 5 years that have clearly been very rough in Foxborough. I wanted Tom. I wanted to keep Tom. Bill said no. Bill said no. I gave him all this money to spend in free agency. Bill spent it incorrectly. I gave him all this control and made him the highest paid coach of the NFL. He drafted these guys. Robert Kraft is so consumed by perception, by reputation, that he cannot stand the idea that he might also be blamed for the state of this team or letting Tom leave. And so I find this interesting. Have you ever heard the phrase crabs in a bucket? I heard this phrase about 15, 17 years ago or so. I thought, boy, that's so interesting. Crabs in a bucket. What does that mean? Crabs in a bucket is all these crabs, if you put them in a big bucket, as you know, won't let any crab get to the top and get out. They'll pull them down. They'll pull them down. Crabs always go and pull down the other crabs. That's what's happening with Robert Kraft. He is there with the franchise having to start over, and he doesn't want Bill getting out of the bucket. egos. Who needs to get the love, the respect, the credit for the winning? Whoa. Fascinating stuff in New England. Absolutely fascinating stuff in New England. All right, number 5. Did you see this? John Sterling, who's been a DA show icon for many years, voiced the Yankees, the 2-2-2-2 is low and inside. We'll do it again. 3-2 now. Ends up retiring right in the middle of the season. Some reported health issues. He said no, but either way, he gets 84 years old, the swan song for the Yankees. The Yankees decide everybody pitch in and get John Sterling, who's called 30% of all Yankee games ever. Let me repeat that. Since the Yankees have been in existence, John Sterling has been the voice of the Yankees so long, he's called 30% of their games all time. He's called half of every playoff game of all time in Yankees history. Amazing. He called every pitch of Derek Jeter and Mariano's career. Think about that. And what do you get a guy that's been there for 35 years? Well, you get him a TV. A TV in the box. You get him a TV from Best Buy. Did you see this? The Yankees actually brought out to the field a big TV. There it is. Look at this. It's in the box. It's in the actual box. No ribbon. No gift wrap. No big gold something or other on top of it. No. We're just getting it delivered from Walmart. Yeah, all right. He came in today. Just put it out in the field. Can you believe this guy's been there for 35 years? Look at the gift that they got him. It's just a box. It's a box and a TV. And by the way, with how cheap TVs are these days, what could that present be worth? Now, granted, it's an 83-incher, okay? 83. That's great. Huge TV. What could that be? $900? Maybe $1,000? Probably less if you get it on sale. If it's like an Amazon flash deal or a Target splash deal, or a Walmart, that thing could be $700, 83 inches. I mean, even if they spend $1,200 on this, it's John Sterling. He's been there for 35 years. You got him an 83-inch TV. Does this guy know how to hang it? Does he know how to use it? Did you also get him installation? Did Geek Squad, did you hire? Unbelievable. Really, truly unbelievable. All right, finally here. This is amazing. Olympics are coming up this summer in Paris. The big idea here in Paris was this river that goes through the city. We are going to make it so clean. Now, this has been going on for 5 years. We got the bid. We're going to make it so clean that we are going to end up doing all of the aquatic events in the river to prove how progressive we are and how environmentally conscious we are and how technology now allows us to clean up the waterways that were once so polluted. Amazing. And look, I'm an environmental guy. I love to hike. I love to fish. I love to be outside. I love animals. I love plants. I love it all. I love trees. I donate to the Arbor Day Foundation. Like, I'm all about this. So I saw this. I said, this is awesome. When I see videos on Instagram of people cleaning up old plastic tubs and stuff like that and getting oceans clean so the ducks don't have to, have the 6-pack can things around their noses, or, whales are eating too much trash. I'm all about it. I love that. So I'm like, great, they're going to clean up the river. Well, the Summer Olympics are like, I don't know, a couple months away. And Paris officials are saying, yeah, I don't think we should be in the water. And so they're saying we might still have the events there, but don't open your mouth in the water. How great is this? A huge reason to watch the French Olympics, wouldn't you say? If you weren't going to watch the Paris Olympics already, or you didn't care about the aquatic events, now you have a reason to just make sure that the swimmers, the divers, what have you, don't open their mouth in the water. Plastic, microplastics. Oops. We had like 6 years since the bid came down. Couldn't get it cleaned up. Oops. Don't worry. Just don't open up your eyes in the middle of that sludge. You'll be fine. All right. The time we've all been waiting for. It's time for 2 special guests, secret guests, and the Marquette Marvel, Aidan Hatton. We are here for one sour moment. Well, look at this crew that we have here. Look at this crew that we have here. In the top right-hand corner is the Marquette Marvel, Aidan Hatton, the executive producer of Watch DA Live. He's ready to go. The bottom right-hand corner is Rangers superfan Morash. The bottom left-hand corner is the man, the myth, the legend making his debut on Watch DA Live, Andrew Bogusch. Boys, good to see you. Morash, how you feeling after the 4-1 victory in Game 1?
Full disclosure, Morash might be a little more tipsy than usual on a radio stream, but I'm good to go. Big Ranger win here. Big
Have
Ranger
you stolen
win.
pie
I
from
still
your
have about
parents'
15
house?
No, I have about 15 people still blaring DJ music in my backyard right now, just partying up a storm because we think this is the year of the Cup. I just still can't believe that I'm sitting here about to mock a man who thought Marquette was going to win the NCAA tournament and not UConn. I mean, Aidan. What a loser move. What a loser move.
Total
Good to see Bogey, though, here.
You listen.
Bogey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I am not drunk, unfortunately, but I'm here nonetheless.
Amazing. Aidan, how you feeling today?
Well, I just have to question if Morash listens to Danny Parkins saying that Storrs, Connecticut is probably the most boring town in the Big East. I can tell you what's not the most boring town in the Big East, and that's Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So that's all that matters.
You know what's not boring, Aidan? Winning. That's not boring at all. You know what else is very boring? Having your taste buds completely soured by eating the most toxic sour candy in the world. So I can't wait to watch you suffer, kid.
Congratulations to Morash. He won a bottle of Bacta bourbon 2014. Now, dude, this is a $150 bottle of bourbon from Bacta that you won. So it's coming to you next weekend. How about that?
I cannot wait at all. And look, when you think NCAA picks, you think Morash. So clearly that is, how the bourbon ends up in my hands.
Bogusch, how embarrassing is it that we have done, 3, 4, 5 bracket challenges over the years with total punishments every single year, and Morash never lost, never had to do one?
I honestly did. I don't care about that. This became personal after one bout of salsa and handing out Easter candy to bosses in an Easter bunny suit as a way of meeting those bosses for the first time. My only care is not losing. If Shaun wins, it doesn't matter. I just don't want to come in last. And if I don't, that's a win. Thank you very much.
Well, Bogues, you'll be happy to know before we let DA take it over here, I have now a new nickname after winning this challenge. Do you want to know what it is?
Couldn't care less.
Bourbon shaped like a bell.
God, so bad. Really terrible.
Well, DA, let me let you know a little secret here. And I don't like to be nice to Shaun, but I'm the only one in the quad box that sees him basically every day.
Uh-huh.
And Shawnee's a little less husky these days.
I know this guy. Now, are you on a diet, Morash, or are you just not?
Fat doctor came through, man. Fat doctor and a doctor. Matter of fact, I'm wearing a Mark Messier jersey. The last time I wore this before this game today was the 1997 conference finals. So that was the last time I fit in this jersey.
So are you on a diet or are you on Ozempic?
Both. How about both? Can we do both?
Which hard drugs are you doing on the railroad?
A lot of hard drugs
every day.
A lot of hard drugs. We'll discuss that off air.
Okay.
By the way, Timbo Slice saying that AB looks young. Did he get work done? Bogues.
No, this is called dirty. I haven't showered today. We woke up, went right to the baseball field, came home, watched the Rangers, went back outside. This is grime. That's all this is.
All right. All right. And Morash, how much did you drink tonight to be tipsy?
So Carlos with a K just stumbled out my gate. His wife is driving him home.
Wait, your wife is driving Carlos home?
Oh
No, his wife.
Full
Full disclosure,
Danielle.
I am on my 16th beer of the day. We did a shot for every Ranger goals. That was 4 goals. And we did a pregame shot. So 16 beers and 5 shots. And I am here though, because I'm a traditionalist and I want to see a bet paid off.
All right, very good. Well, we'll get you back to your parties.
I think he just wants to gloat in his victory, DA. I think that's all that matters.
We want the cup, Aiden. We want the cup.
That's probably true. All right, so Aidan, you've got toxic waste in your hand. It's considered the most sour candy on earth. Aidan and I decided before tonight's show that he would take 2 of these because they're kind of like shaped almost like warheads. So they're somewhat tiny here. So Aidan's going to take 2 of these. I said Aidan can choose what flavor he wants. Aidan, what flavors did you choose? Because there's 3 different flavors.
Oh, that's actually much more compassionate of you, DA. I thought we talked about voting out of the 3
Oh,
flavors.
you're right. You're right. I was going to let
the island.
Morash and Bogusch, as quote unquote winners in previous years, were allowed to vote on this. Can you give us the 3 flavors?
Yes, they are apple, blue raspberry, and watermelon.
All right.
Have like hellacious names?
Ooh.
No, I guess
No,
not.
it makes me feel a lot better.
Bogusch. I think we have an easy number 1 here, and that's watermelon because people try to make that a big flavor, and nobody ever wants that, whether it's liquor or candy.
Yeah, I'm just still stuck on this. It's not murderous melon or something like that.
And every 3rd grader always goes for blue raspberry, so I think apple should be number 2 as well.
Yeah, no blue raspberry. Get that out.
Okay, so 1 watermelon and 1 apple. We're going to put that, Aidan, you got to put that in your mouth. And by the way, here is the time that on the package it says you need to do. If you're 15 seconds, you're a total wuss. If you're 30 seconds, you're a crybaby. If you're 45 seconds, you're a toxie wannabe.
Ooh.
And then if you're 60 seconds, a full toxie head. Full toxie head.
So it's a sucker. He's got to suck on these.
He's got to suck on them, yes. So he's got to get to at least 30 seconds because that would be crybaby territory. Okay.
Which he is.
He is
By the way, Aidan, you're not kidding anybody with the blazer. We get it. You do a good job producing Watch DA. I used to show up to work with my nipple hanging out. That's why I'm not allowed producing DA.
Listen, when you make your first on-camera debut for Watch DA Live, it's like you're making. I mean, you know this more than anybody. You're always making a first impression for DA.
What do you mean? Who cares about your blazer?
I'm smoked for crying out loud.
Right.
All right. What do we got?
I wasn't going to mention it, but I'm basically on the other side of the spectrum as Shaun after my night out last night. So I may be fighting a little headache.
Aidan's banged up. All right.
Good
Very good.
Good for you.
I'm on the other side of the hill, if you will.
Right.
I'll be where Shaun is tomorrow morning.
Okay. All right, Aidan, get ready to pop them.
As you'd say, Shaun, from left to right on your radio dial, you have a little bit of a, like you said, a sucker, or as we say on the East Coast, lollipop texture for these, but they're about the size of, medication. So I'm just going to, I'm going to do my own timer to make sure that
seems illegal. You can't time yourself.
I'm timing it too.
Yeah,
good. Double check.
DA is the official timing, but I'm doing it for my own
is,
sake to make sure I'm not a total wuss, as this can says. So here we go.
All right, Aidan. Thanks. 3, 2, 1, pop them.
Oh.
Okay, it has started.
Oh no.
They looked harmless.
No, it's all the ones that look harmless that end up being very harmful, Bogues, as you know. Wow, no face really made yet.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
He kind of looks smug.
Yeah,
I don't like it at all.
A little too confident.
Don't taunt the candies. They can feel it.
Let your tongue do a little more work, Aidan.
20 seconds.
That's what she said.
Let the tongue work. Work it in between.
30 seconds. He's almost at 30 seconds already. Crybaby status.
Oh,
Seems unbothered.
Oh,
come on.
man.
This is not like Ghost Chili then if he's this unbothered.
Okay. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I like it. I like it. He's a showman.
Okay, for the crowd.
This is a veteran's job.
We're at 40 seconds.
This is Dwayne Wade at Marquette.
Wow.
I like this.
Wow.
You got stones, kid. You got stones.
Wow. So, and is there any pain? Anything? Nothing?
Boy, Robin at 3-2-1 is gonna be pissed.
Golly.
Maybe.
There's just a little tingle, but never hurt anybody.
Is it like a warhead?
I'm up to a minute.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's more just a tingling sensation.
Oh, these are
But
pathetic.
my cheeks actually feel great.
Wow.
Yeah, you might need a second person to do this, DA, and see if they are not good or he's strangely numb to this.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have picked Houston to win it all if I knew it was going to be this easy.
So there's no pain, no nothing.
No pain. I mean, as I start to, well, I shouldn't say that. Now that we get to 90 seconds, it's like a little tougher to swallow.
Okay.
I mean, if you make it 2.5 minutes, I'm just going to pay for Bilotti to come up to wherever you live and have him fart in your face.
I'm feeling a little sweat up here now. A little sweat.
Any discomfort?
No discomfort. I feel like I could produce the show as normally as I do on Sunday nights.
Oh,
I did that
isn't
typically
paying
in
much
bad
for it.
shape, so that's good.
All right, I will attempt to swallow these one by one to see if that changes anything.
Well, make sure you hollow them down a little bit. We don't want you choking here.
Well, you can. They're swallowable without chewing any.
You could tell this is an independent production because we would have needed an EMT on site if not.
Yep.
That is very true. All right. And side note, they all taste the same. So,
Man.
blue raspberry apple. Bogusch is right. We needed to rename these to strike fear in the opponents a little more.
Boy, the first Watch DA live bet payoff has been a total dud. This is just, boy.
Wow. And it's so funny because, and Shaun and Andrew don't maybe not know this, but in one of our production calls, this is probably week 2 or 3, after the first weekend of the tournament was complete, but not started, but not yet complete. And DA is on the phone and says, "Hey, do you want to join the 1 Sour Moment Celeb Challenge in the middle of the tournament?" Now, I don't know if that's a little bit of a controversy. I wasn't doing that bad in the first round.
Wow.
It's because my beloved Marquette was champions and I didn't pick UConn. But I'm just throwing that out there as a little point of controversy and otherwise out of a punishment.
Aidan, frankly, you earned it. You know what I mean? You earned it. Yeah, everybody's got to pay their dues. So away we go.
Here in some punishment. Yeah, his bracket had been finalized. He had put his bracket in, but I just said
DA just knew a sucker, no pun intended. You picked Marquette to win it all like a sucker, and now you're doing the sucker.
Oh, there you go. Morty D'Souza just came in.
I miss Morty. I miss Morty so much.
And that's with one of these still in my cheek.
Wow.
I mean, but here's the thing, DA.
All right.
He didn't get punished.
I know. This is a total dud. I have to do something else to him. That's it.
No,
look, my tongue is totally fine, and I've swallowed all 3.
What
come
happened?
on, I don't know, but come on, Bogusch, you and I nearly lost our esophagus doing one spicy moment. We dressed up as Easter bunnies, publicly humiliated ourselves. This is not right. I need pain here. I don't need this. I don't need him smiling, doing, Shecky Green as he does.
Heel should not be named, lost 3 innings at Citi Field due to bathroom malfunctions after a spicy challenge.
I mean, he who shall not be named was written off of the show. I mean, for crying out loud. We need real punishment here. Some real punishment. Oh my God. Yeah. All right. Well, what can you do? It's live TV. So Bogusch, what do you think? Can we get Bob's Bar thing? Can we get some momentum on this here for this summer or what?
I mean, you're asking the wrong guy. And Bob's my new Dave Matthews band friend, so I don't want to ruffle those feathers. We're in a really good spot right now.
Bob is left, by the way.
Oh, Bob? Yeah. Oh,
Bob.
You and Bob are Dave Matthews band guys?
Bob saw Dave Matthews sing like a Paul Simon tribute thing on CBS, and now he's all in.
Wow.
Good for Bob. Had we done this 10 minutes earlier, I could have got Bob to talk to us. I mean, he just left after 10 Heineken Lights. So,
speaking of dads, my dad chimed in and said, "Boston tough, let's go Bruins." So it might just be a DNA thing. Yeah. I have a lot of people in the comments saying that if this was Shaun, it would be a different story tonight.
Well, good for them. Tell your dad, kiss my ass, Rangers in 4 in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, yeah. That would be great, right? Bruins and Rangers can meet in the Eastern Conference Finals.
You could get Knicks, Celtics, and Rangers Bruins. Boy, oh boy, would New York and Boston explode. The Hattons wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
Okay. It'll be Bob versus what's your dad's name there, Aidan?
Tom.
Okay, Tom and Bob. Bob and Tom. Perfect.
Real more simple names.
By the way, who was it? Bogusch, who was tweeting at you the pictures? Oh, was it Jay Berman with the Dave? Was it Dave Matthews at the Sphere?
No, Berman's at Fish at the Sphere. I'm sure people
Fish.
have died at that thing, but it looks amazing.
He said the guy in front of him yacked 4 times and he had to move his seat.
So Berman's in Vegas at the Sphere, and it's just like crazy kind of.
It's a 360 experience. Yeah. And like, so you're already walking in on whatever to a Fish show, and then they start blowing your mind with graphics. You've got no chance to survive that.
No chance.
Yes. No
Absolutely
shot.
No chance. All right. Well, we'll let you guys get back to your parties. Morash, you got a couple more to go because you don't have to get up in the morning, right?
No, that's been the beauty of leaving the DA show. The only positive truly has been the fact that I wake up when my kids wake me up, and thankfully they don't wake up at 6 a.m. But I love you all. Thank you, everybody, for watching Watch DA, and let's catch up soon.
Sounds good. And Bogusch, you and I, alarms are set for 3:45.
Oh, can't wait. That's always good. And then I get to see, and then when I'm just about done with being in a building, Shaun walks in all happy and jolly.
Actually, Bogusch, Yankees at 1 o'clock tomorrow. I don't have work till about 4 p.m. So I'll see you later.
I get out early for that too tomorrow. I'll take it. Give me more
Can
1 o'clock weekday
real
starts.
quick, can we get Sean's take on John Sterling's TV?
Oh, yeah, the TV that they gave Sterling.
First of all, it's a beautiful TV. Second of all, look, the Yankees had like a week to scrounge something together. So they gave it 3 in to watch whatever. And by the way, the Lucy Bird story last week, I've watched that now on YouTube 14 times. I keep coming back for more.
Yeah, it was a popular story that she told.
Was.
Very popular.
It was. I've never eaten more Wendy's in 1 week, but that's it.
You're just sitting in that Wendy's parking lot watching it over and over on Twitter?
Exactly. And then I just order and I go, "Sir, this is a Wendy's." And I just keep thinking about a tweet once and again.
All right, boys. Thank you for showing up. Appreciate it.
Later, guys.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
See ya. That's Shaun Morash and Andrew Bogusch joining us here on Watch DA Live. Excellent. Oh, man, that's funny. And Aidan, you survived the first challenge, but the challenge wasn't much of a challenge. What a disgrace.
I have to be totally honest. I was thinking about trying one in advance before we got on the air just to test myself. And I'm glad I didn't. I wanted to keep the integrity of the show. And that integrity paid off because it was probably a 3 out of 10.
But I mean, honestly, we kind of screwed that up though, because had you tested it, you would have been like, no, there's no reaction. We're not going to get any good video out of this. So you would have told me we have to put like 10 in your mouth at the same time or something like that.
That is true. The only risk I read on, I was nervingly reading a couple of Reddit threads yesterday on my otherwise normal Saturday. And there was a horror story about a guy who had who had probably 2 or 3 like I did, and then got a little too ambitious and put the rest of the can in his mouth.
Okay.
And that was a horror story. But so I knew we couldn't go that far.
Huh. All right. I'm going to have to figure something else out. I mean, you paid off the bet, so it is what it is. But gosh, I feel like that was not nearly the visual that we needed on air. But either way, you're a good man, Aidan. The Marquette Marvel is the executive producer of Watch DA Live. He works his ass off for us every single week. So if you enjoy this show, you can enjoy and you can thank him because he puts a lot of work into this. All right, before we get back to Aidan, who's going to give me a little Q&DA, Aidan, why don't we queue up a little Golden Grams here, right? Because we told you guys that if you are doing anything during the show and you're maybe eating something, drinking something, whatever, just tweet it at me. Or send it on Instagram at Damon Amendo at either handle, and we will post them here on the show. So the grams are coming through, and Aidan, you can pop up the grams that are coming through right now. We have BK in Denver, who actually has been in the comment section before. He says he's watching some NASCAR as he watches the show on his iPad, and then he has got the big screen up with NASCAR. I wasn't tuned in because I was watching the Rangers game earlier against the Capitals. And then I was flipping back and forth with the Clippers and Mavs during that time. But he said there was a huge wreck involving Michael Jordan's team. So he's all about it. And BK, appreciate you watching and listening and sending along your Golden Gram. What's next up here, Aidan, as part of the listeners of what they're doing? This one's from Cough in Boston, who's actually vacationing in St. John's Island down in the Caribbean. And it looks like he's got a little Patriots mug there. What's in that? What's in that little cold, delicious cocktail, huh? How about that view from the Airbnb or the hotel room? Very nice. I mean, how about that? We're going international down to the Caribbean. He's streaming this on his laptop and then watching us on the laptop and then enjoying that view. Very cool. Cough, I appreciate you watching this. And then next up, we got Moist Pork, who is, he's enjoying a very nice cocktail. Looks like he's got it neat as well. And no ice. I'm an ice guy, but Moist Pork knows his booze, no doubt about it. So I appreciate that view as well. Very nice. And Moist is all about good cocktails, good beers. It's very cool. So I know because I've seen him in, we have a D-Alien chat that I've been part of a couple of times, and he posts pictures of what he's drinking and what have you. And he always has got a good cocktail up there or a good beer up there. So Moist, I appreciate you as well. We have so many great D-Aliens that are watching and being part of this tonight. And so every single week, if you've got something that you're drinking or you're eating or something, or what you're doing as you watch the show, then just send it to me either on X at Damon Amendo or on Instagram at Damon Amendo as well. I'll repost or retweet it. Aidan will take it and put it up on the show. That was awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody. This has been so cool. Before we get out of here, let's do a little Q&DA, shall we? Aidan's going to be on screen for this. So, Aidan, cue it. What do we got going on here for little comments today here on the show?
As you mentioned, a lot of great engagement tonight. And I think the headliner has to be the return of what we think is Hurricane Jen.
Oh, definitely.
My favorite comment of her night was during the interview with Danny Parkins when she asked, "Is Danny your cousin or something? This guy sort of looks like you." And this was a common theme, not just with Jen, but amongst a lot of the commenters.
Yeah, no, we've got no relation. As you might imagine, a Parkins and an Amendolara. There's not a lot of genetic crossover there. But Danny is awesome with what he does. And so I take that as a compliment because the guy is like one of the great local sports talk hosts in America. In fact, Colin Cowherd last week called him the best local sports talk host in America. So he's awesome. He was great on the show. And it was really good to have him on, even while he destroyed Stores, Connecticut. It was great to have him on.
Yeah, that was probably my funniest. The funniest part was the Stores, Connecticut bit as a fellow Big East guy. Along those same lines in the interview, Billy commented, "Caleb Williams is going to be like Pat Boyle's chest, a bust."
Now, I don't think Caleb Williams is a bust. Now, it depends on what you believe he is going to be. I don't believe the Patrick Mahomes comparisons. I think that is too far of a stretch. And, of course, he throws off balance and he throws off timing and off rhythm, and he does well when he's improvising like Mahomes does. But I am not of the opinion that he can be a Mahomes type. I just think when you start comparing people to the greatest of all time, you're only going to fall flat. And I'm not saying Mahomes is yet the greatest of all time, but he's in the conversation already as one of the greats. And I think Caleb will be very good. I just don't think he's an all-time great. And I think those projections have already set him up for failure. But look, all the Bears are looking for, they don't need an all-time great. They just need a homegrown, drafted quarterback that can be there for 7 to 10 years. If they get that, they'll get something they haven't gotten since Sid Luckman. I mean, I don't know. Even McMahon wasn't there for 10 years. McMahon was drafted in 82, I think, and lasted until 89 maybe, and most of those years were injured. So, I mean, frankly, if they get 7 healthy years out of Caleb Williams, it's already the greatest quarterback they've ever drafted. Next up.
Yeah, it's a low bar. GG chimes in with a Knicks question. How many games do they need to win for you to stop treating them like a punchline?
Okay, so the deal is this. You might be surprised to know this, but I was a Knicks fan when I was growing up. I mean, I'm a child of the 80s, and then in high school, I'm in the 90s. And so I was all into those Ewing teams and Oakley teams and Mason, John Starks. Those teams were gritty, grimy, physical. I love those teams. I mean, Anthony Mason was just like one of the coolest players ever. In fact, when Xavier McDaniel, the X-Men, was a Knick, I was such a huge Xavier McDaniel fan. But because of James Dolan, and he bought the team, and because of the disgrace they've been, dysfunction that they've been, I completely bailed on the Isaiah Thomas years. So that's it. And I'll never go back. And some people say they can pop in, pop out. If they win me back, I just won't do it. I can't leave a team and then go back to them. So I will forever be a NBA nomad. That's just my lot in life. I'm okay with it. I'm not going to join another team full-heartedly. It just wouldn't be right. So, but I'll never be a Knicks fan. So I do enjoy tweaking the Knicks as much as I can. Plus, my guy Babs on SiriusXM, he's a huge Knicks fan, and I like twisting the knife. All right. I enjoy that all too much. So I like making fun of them. Now, I'll be honest. I thought they played their type of game in game one last night, where they didn't even need a great Jalen Brunson game. They have this kind of 1,000 different hands at work. And Josh Hart hits a couple of big threes. And they just have a couple of big shots here or there. And they're just greater than the sum of their parts. And I can appreciate that. So I got to give them respect. They earned the 2 seed. Brunson is an absolute dog. And I respect guys like that build themselves from nothing into something. But look, it's just too fun to and Knicks fans are so delusional. They always have been. Bing bong, and the Knicks are back and all that. So, hey, what I provide here is a counterbalance to the obnoxious New Yorkers that think the Knicks can do no wrong, even though they're always a disappointment. That's what I provide. Next up.
Storming 7th Ave after a game 1 win just shows how, and I appreciate the hustle, but it shows how starved they are as a fan base. Next one.
And before we get any farther, by the way, just want to say game 1, Bucks and Pacers. Bucks are blowing out the Pacers without Giannis right now. Remember, a lot of people thought this is a close series, especially if Giannis couldn't play. Halliburton, et cetera, on the Pacers give them problems. Game 1, they are thrashing the Pacers right now. So keep an eye on that.
That's an interesting one because the Pacers actually went 3-1 against Milwaukee this regular season, I believe. And some of those games were obviously with Giannis. All right, Timbo Slice chimes in. Does this, and I mean by this, the whole Watch DA Live YouTube ecosystem that we've tried to create, does this count as YouTube winning the Twitch versus YouTube DA war?
For those that don't know, when I was on CBS, there was a battle of the simulcasts, and we were simulcast at the same time on both YouTube and Twitch. So there were 2 different factions, ones that watched on YouTube, ones that watched on Twitch. They each had their own core group that would tweet and text and comment with one another. And I always was YouTube centric. And it was only because YouTube was the easier browser to bring up in my laptop or on my desktop as I did the show, as I hosted the show. So I always leaned into the YouTube comments, read the comments, etc. The Twitch people, they really hated that. When I went to Sirius, I wanted to make sure that those that were going to follow me over from CBS had 2 chances to listen or connect with me. 1 on the radio, 2 in video form. And so I was like, let's do YouTube. I guess I could do this on Twitch. Maybe we could also do this on Twitch as well, Aidan. You'd have to check the back channel on that. But I do think that with as much time as I am spending on YouTube videos and analytics and data, which they have a ton of, I do think this is now advantage YouTube, because now I live in the YouTube world. And now I'm in YouTube Studio all the time. What's the data on this? What's our views on this? What's our clicks on this? What's our revenue on this? So I live now in the YouTube, truly in the YouTube realm. So yeah, I think right now, advantage YouTube, unless we get Watch DA on Twitch as well, which in this case, and if that happens, then we throw caution to the wind. Then we have to throw that competition back up in the air.
Does AJ still have his Twitch onesie?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But he's grown out of it at this point because AJ is now 11 months. He'll be 11 months coming up in 2 days or so. So, yeah, but that was great. Last year, I got the Twitch onesie for AJ from the crew that loves Twitch over at the Bob's Bar Show. So that was pretty awesome.
How metaphorical that we as a show and your son may have both grown out of Twitch.
No, don't say it. No, but that's interesting. But the Twitch people will not have that. I think there will be a revolt if we ever said we ever totally dismissed Twitch. All right, one more. Time for one more.
Ooh, one more. I think the best one we have to finish with, it may not necessarily be a question, but we had a lot of requests for this certain person to join the chat, and she has joined us, so we have to highlight her.
Yes.
Nancy Morash. Hi, DA. Miss you and hope the family is well.
So let me just tell you, I mean, Morash and I obviously go back 11 years, and Nancy and Bob are just amazing people. And Nancy knitted for my son, AJ, a light blue blanket herself. And it was so thoughtful and so wonderful and so cozy that we have a lot of blankets that AJ uses. We throw in the crib, or we put on the ground to play with toys or whatever. And that one has hung in his closet for special occasions. And when it's cold during the winter and we want to, cuddle him up, or it's a big day and it's a photography day because my wife likes taking the pictures of him at the 1 month intervals until he's a year old. That's when we put out Nancy's blanket, and it is so cozy and so well knitted together. And it means so much from a sentimentality standpoint that it's a really special one. So Nancy, she knows that my heart is always with her family and her, and I can't wait to see her soon. I'm very excited to get out there this summer, hopefully, for either a Bob's Bar event or just to go out to the beach or something and see them, because I miss them very much. And it was great to have Moraz on the show today. But Nancy is salt of the earth, wonderful people. And I have nothing but love for Nance and Bob. And I means a ton that she joined us tonight in the chat. And another wonderful female listener to the show, friend of the show, is Hurricane Jen, who has been a longtime listener to the show that joined us tonight in the chat as well. And Hurricane Jen, thank you so much. You mean so much to all of us. You've been an unbelievable D-Alien for so long. Everyone loves your bites that we played at the show and drops, good burgers and everything like that. So it's been great. I have to tell you this very honestly. Aidan and I and our team put together a show every week that we hope that you guys really enjoy. And the fact that every week you guys keep coming back, and our numbers continue to grow, and the chats continue to be phenomenal, and the comments are all these wonderful people that are coming together at the same time, is kind of exactly what I always hoped, that Sunday nights would become kind of a family event. I know in a lot of cultures, Sunday nights is dinner night. It's family night. It's you get together with your family and you spend time together. And I hope that everybody feels that way here, because I feel that way about you guys. And, Aidan and I are trying to build something here from the ground up that throws our arms around everybody and embraces them and brings everybody together and gives you guys a safe space to just hang out, have fun, have a cocktail, have some food, and joke around and, have something to talk about. So it means so much that you guys have come together in the chat and listened and watched on all these different platforms. And how cool is technology that we do a show today and it's free on every platform, and it's on Twitter, and it's on Facebook, and it's on YouTube simultaneously. All the chats get funneled to the same place, and we have guests and we have graphics, and it's live, and it's like I could have never even dreamed this when I was in high school. Like, this could be a possibility, but technology allowed it, and I want to take advantage of it. So today has been awesome. Tonight has been awesome. And Parkins was great. Aidan was killer. Moraz and Bogusch showing up. How cool is this? Everybody in the chat, this was so much fun. So hopefully you guys had a good time. Aidan, hopefully you're not going to have some type of internal indigestion a little bit later on tonight, since you went big on the sour candies. But it seems like you've got a stomach of steel here.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I was going to say late lunch today, no dinner yet before the show. So that was a little bit of strategy, but I feel great. And yeah, not to totally derail our production value and say this was a dud of a punishment, but my stomach, I think, will be okay.
Very good. Well, we will see you next weekend when we will break down the NFL draft. So if you're waiting on Thursday, Friday, of course, I'll be on SiriusXM morning, 6 until 9 Eastern time on Friday morning for immediate reaction of round number 1. But if you're wondering about full takes on the draft itself, rounds 1 through 7, Sunday night right here is where I will be. I'm going to dump truck all of my takes on the draft. I can't wait. I don't know. For some reason, this draft I'm more into than a lot of other drafts. I think maybe because of all the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, a lot of splashy names, great stories, desperate teams. I'm very into this one. So Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time, we'll do this thing again and just go through the entire draft. We'll have draft analysts. We'll have team analysts. We'll get as much coverage as humanly possible. So the draft special coming up Sunday to wrap up the whole thing. All right, so that will do it for us tonight here on the show. Thank you, everybody. Big L, big love, all right, big heart. And I'm not doing it like a Greg Doyle Indy Star thing to Caitlin Clark. I'm doing it because I love you guys, and it means a lot that you come here every Sunday night. And I love that I saw so many friendly faces of familiar names out there. And if you're not, you don't know anybody here, don't worry. Boom, hit the chat. Everybody's awesome. The D-Aliens are so embracing, and they're great, and they're here to just build the whole squad. So keep it going. D-Alien fam, love you very much. That'll do it for us tonight. We will see you tomorrow morning on SiriusXM, channel 82. Tune into me there. Until then, you can check out the YouTube channel, DA Deep Dives, constantly through the week on the YouTube channel, and full episodes of Watch DA Live archive there every single week. Have a great Sunday night, everybody. We will see you then. The Mothership disconnects.